Hello everyone, this is lecture 2 of module 3 in a series of lectures that I am delivering to cover the course of Software Project Management at the Department of Software Engineering, Faculty of Computer and Information Technology, Jordan University of Science and Technology. The first slide of this lecture talks about the critical success factors of a project. Well, what makes a project successful is that we have well-defined goals, objectives, scope, and requirements. That's factor number 1. Factor number 2, the project has to have a decent support from their upper management. Factor number 3, they need to involve the potential users in the project from its early stages. Factor number 4, the project manager, him or herself, must be competent, well experienced, and he or she should be on site most of the time, on site of the project. The fifth factor is the work breakdown structure of the project. The goals, scopes, and requirements should be defined as we indicated in factor number 1. They should be translated into categories of tasks, and then each category or each requirement should be associated with a set of tasks that should be carried on to achieve that category or requirement. Factor number 6, we need to have the project core plan in place. The project core plan, as we explained in earlier lectures, is composed of the work breakdown structure, the schedule, dependencies, resource allocation, deliverables, and milestones. We need to have the needed project management processes in place, well defined as well. Examples are the quality control, risk management, team management, change management, etc., etc. We need them to be defined as well. Factor 8, the project team quality. We need to pick the right people to be on the team. The manpower availability, and that's what I refer to as factor 9. Manpower availability, we need to be able to get or to find the right resources from the market or from within the company. The 10th factor, our schedule and cost estimation must be or should be kind of accurate, or their preciseness is at a high degree. Factor 11, the quality and comprehensiveness of the test cases must be there. Factor 12, the quality and adequacy of user training. So we need to train the users in a very good way. The 13th factor, or a critical success factor of a project, is that we have a detailed or a project detailed plan. And as we explained several times earlier, the detailed or the complete plan of a project is composed of the core plan as well as the set of processes. So they are listed here: scope management process, objective management process, requirements management process, work breakdown structure development process, schedule management process, and so forth. Okay, this slide talks about the main objective of having a plan and what kind of questions we look at when we do the plan. The prime objective of a project plan is very much to define the approach that will be followed to deliver the intended scope of the project, or to carry on the project the way it is expected. Now, For the plan, there are several questions that must be answered directly or indirectly during the process of preparing the plan. The first question, or the first category of questions, is what we refer to as what, the what questions. Examples are, what is the project scope of work? We need to define it. What are the project requirements? What are the tasks associated with each requirement? What are the project's deliverables? What are the project's milestones? What are the roles and responsibilities of the project team members? What are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats related to the project, or what we refer to as the SWOT analysis? So these are just examples of the what questions that we need to answer during the planning process. The second set of questions is what we refer to as the why questions. Why does the customer need the project? Why does the customer issue an RFP inviting external service providers rather than taking care of the project internally? Why would or would not the service provider consider the announced project opportunity to go for or to decline? Now, the third set of questions is what we refer to as the when questions. When will the project be started and ended? That's an example. The second example questions, when will each task be started and ended? When will each deliverable be ready? When will each deliverable be handed over to the customer? And the last example, when will each milestone be achieved? And there might be other questions as well. Now, the fourth category of questions is what we refer to as the who questions. Now, first example, who will be involved in the project? For example, the shareholders. Who will be the shareholders? Who is the project sponsor from the customer side? Who is the assigned project manager? Who are the project team members? The roles. The fifth category of questions is what we refer to as the how questions. How will the project be managed? For example, the project management methodology. What is the project management methodology? A second example, how will the targeted system be developed, tested, deployed, operated, and supported? So here we talk about the software development methodology and the processes as well. The category of questions number 6 is what we refer to as the where questions. Examples, where will the project team be placed? Where will the software system be deployed once it is ready for deployment? Okay, this slide talks about estimate types and the techniques that we use to carry on the estimations. Estimate types, the first type is what we refer to as fair estimates. The correctness or the error, the error range would be between 25 to 50%. The second one is the budget estimate. We do that very early and during the planning phase, and it's like a top-down estimation. And the correctness or the error rate is about plus minus 10% to plus minus 25%. We have the definitive estimation, and we do that late in the planning phase, and it's a bottom-up estimate. So we start from the task level, and we go up. And the correct or the error rate is very much plus minus 5 to 10%. And this would be the best because at the end of the planning, the picture would be very clear, and we simply be more realistic in estimating the cost. The budgetary, it's like after understanding the requirements, it's any time during the planning, so we can use expertise or experts in estimation, and we can come up with a reasonable estimate enough or good enough to come up with a preliminary budget. Now, the techniques for estimation: the bottom-up estimation, the one that we use for the definitive estimate, the last estimation type. And we have the expert judgment. Well, the expert judgment, again, we rely on experienced people in estimation and who are familiar with the kind of project we are looking at, and very much we use them for the budgetary costing or pricing. Now, what are the steps for costing and budgeting? We identify, first of all, the work breakdown structure tasks. We identify the dependencies among them. Then we define the periods or the schedule for these tasks, the start and end dates for each of them. Then we allocate the resources for each of these tasks. Then the schedule would be produced such that all tasks are included in the schedule. All tasks are assigned to resources, developers, designers, etc., without conflicts. And then all dependencies among tasks are taken care of in the schedule. How do we do the costing and the budget estimation? The total base cost is very much, a task base cost is very much the task working days times the allocated resource daily rate. Or we say the task working months times the allocated resource monthly rate. Or the weekly rates. Or we can say the hourly rates, the task working hours times the allocated resource hourly rate, regardless. So you can take it in hours, in days, in weeks, or even in months, or probably annual. A task cost is very much the task-based cost that we addressed in the previous formula, plus any other associated costs, such as the office expenses associated or used by the resource that is who is carrying the that task. Then we sum the cost of all tasks, and that's what I refer to as all tasks cost. And it's the summation from 1 to n. Capital N represents the number of tasks in the work breakdown structure. So the sum of the individual tasks costs. So the project cost will be the all task costs, the one from the previous line, plus risk proactive plan cost. So typically in the market, when they cost for a project, they would add something around 20% of the basic cost, the basic project cost, and we keep that on the side just for risks, as a risk contingency fund. Also, there might be other associated costs, for example, taxation, for example, if we are going to deliver devices or machines or servers, we include that here as well. The project budget, and that is the price we submit to the customer. It will be the cost, which is our cost, plus our targeted profit, which is typically most of the customers or most of the service providers would add a margin of around 30%. Now, in this slide, we look at the progress reports to start with. What would a progress report include? A progress report is a report that is prepared by the project manager on weekly basis or on monthly basis, bi-weekly basis, depending on the service provider's agreement with the customer. So a progress report would consist of a header, an executive summary, a description of the smaller components of the project, and an indication of when the next report will be. Reports are important project management tools. So the progress reports can be used internally among the team, or as a reference for the project manager, him or herself, or can be used to or can be submitted to the upper management at the service provider side, or even can be submitted to the customer, depending on the nature of the progress report or what are the issues that need the attention of the stakeholders. Now, to prepare a progress report, first of all, you need to collect, as a project manager, all needed information. You need to arrange that information in a balanced logical structure, and you need to write that report in the customer's language. So if the customer speaks Arabic, you need to write it in Arabic for them. If they speak English, you need to write it in English. French, you need to write it in English. So this is one perspective of explaining what you mean by customer's language. The other perspective is the style. So the language, you speak Arabic and the customer speaks Arabic as well, but their way of perceiving the grammar, the syntax, or sorry, the style of writing is probably different from others. So you need to understand the style they expect you to write and use that style to prepare your report. So your communication with them will be effective, and they will be interested in reading and reviewing your reports. Now, progress report checklist. We have 4 parts: the executive summary, the milestones and deliverables, the issues, risks, change management, and the team progress. In the executive summary, you need to identify the project by name, the manager, etc. Then you need to give a summary, and also you need to provide the project percent completed. Milestones and deliverables. The current percent completed, the planned start and finish, and the actual start and finish date, and conduct a comparison and justify why there is a difference between the actual start and finish dates and the original planned for start and finish dates. Issues, risks, change management. You need to look at or include the open issues, open risks, and the open change requests. In addition to that, you need to summarize those issues, risks that you already took care of. A team progress task scheduled for last week, the finished ones, and the scheduled for this week. So basically, that's all about progress reports. Now we have what we refer to as the ISO corrective action plan. What is a corrective action? It's an improvement action taken on an organization processes to eliminate undesirable situations. Examples: actions that laws or regulations may require an organization to take in manufacturing, documentation, procedures, systems, etc. Changes implemented to resolve weaknesses in management systems, performance systems, etc. Now, what are the steps for ISO process for corrective actions? First of all, problem identification and definition. You need to define and identify and define the problem you are looking at. The scope of work definition, the containment action definition, the problem's root cause identification, the corrective actions planning, corrective action planning implementation, and the after corrective action plan implementation follow-up. So that is a process or defined by ISO to handle the corrective actions. Why do we need a corrective action? We mentioned in the previous slide that we have the actual start and date, for example, and the planned for start and end date. If there is a difference between the planned for and the actual, then we need to find out why. What are the root causes of that difference, that cause that difference? And then we need to come up with a corrective action or a plan to eliminate that issue or that problem. Well, that's all for lecture 2, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you at lecture 3. Thank you.